You are listening to the We Are West Ham podcast with me, Will Pugh, and my mate, James Jones. West Ham United, and a very respectable point indeed at high-flying Newcastle on Saturday night. David Moyes has launched himself a mini little revival after James and I were part of the many West Ham fans calling for a change in manager at London Stadium. Jonesy, great to see you again, mate. New glasses and everything, which we'll get onto in a minute. But as far as David Moyes goes, since that Brentford win, the 1-0 away, which we said we didn't care about, we obviously had the 1-0 defeat at Wolves, but then it's been 2 wins and a draw, unbeaten in 3 now for Moyes, the Brentford win and the Leeds draw. Before that, 1 defeat in 6 games, if I've done my maths correctly there, which I have. 1 defeat in 6 games, not too sad at all. Things looking a little bit better. And to quote my dad, the oracle on all things West Ham, we looked like on Saturday, it was like watching us a year ago.
Yeah, it's interesting because those 6 games all this year, all this side of the new year, and 5 of them have been away from home. And we've only lost 1 game. So maybe he is turning the corner. Maybe the team is beginning to play for him again. Not 100% perfect, though.
No, but nothing is in this world, mate.
No, it's just very true. But
that lifelong chase for perfection will only leave you miserable, Jonesy.
I know, mate. I know. I need to realise that. But all in all, a very encouraging performance on Saturday evening. Yep. After a start to the game, which at one point, within 3 minutes, I was like, this could end up 6 or 7.
I'm
incredibly worried.
Disallowed one.
They hadn't even stopped showing the replay of the disallowed one, and suddenly you could hear the crowd go, and then they cut to it, and Callum Wilson's banging in the net. So, oh yeah, of course, yeah. But yeah, encouraging the fact that we bounced back. And your dad's right, actually. It was like watching us a year ago, because this time last year.
Delighted to hear that from you, James.
Yeah,
ringing endorsement.
This time last year, we were going 1-0 down in games and not being too worried about it, thinking, yeah, we've got enough about us to get back in it. This year, it's been we're going 1-0 down in games and going, oh, well, that's that then. It's over.
Yeah, I wonder how many we'll lose by now.
Yeah, and, we've done that twice away from home in the Premier League and got something out of it. Leeds and Newcastle this season. I know we didn't do it at Wolves, but this side of the new year, things look to be on the up, and I don't really know what that means, what that says about David Moyes' future. But we'll push that under the carpet a little bit and just enjoy it for what it is at the moment, because it's far better than it was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks.
Yeah, it is, mate. I'll be honest. I know it sounds really fickle. I'm surprised. I'm delighted that it's happened, but I'm really surprised that we've lost 1 game in 6, and you can't. That 1-1 at Newcastle Saturday cannot be considered anything other than a really good result.
Yeah,
we've won. We're doing well in the FA Cup. All right, we've got Man United away, but that's not in Moyes' control. We've dispatched of 2 teams, Brentford and Derby, 3 goals away, 0 conceded to get through to the 5th round. You can't criticise it for that, although fans might not care. It doesn't matter. He's won those games. And point against away at Newcastle is phenomenal. We've not ever had a great record there in seasons past, and they're absolutely flying at the moment. Just got into their first major final since 1999. As Sean Custis, head of sport at The Sun, told us on the podcast last week, you cannot say anything other than that's a fantastic result. And frankly, we got Chelsea at home next, Tottenham away, then Forest at home for the rest of February. It shows the folly, I guess, of the average football supporter. And while we try our very best week in, week out on the We Are West Ham podcast to put ourselves a cut above the rest or in a different league to the average football fan on the street, I think it's really difficult to know what to say at this stage, because all I want to go now is go, oh, well, yeah, he's bought himself some time, which I think he has, but I don't know. It does make us both, and the thousands of other football fans, I guess, West Ham fans, sound or feel a bit like Wallies, doesn't it? Because we were going, yeah, it's time for a change. And then And now it's like, well, no, you can't sack him now. Like, definitely not. Keep him on, give him to at least. Well, that's the thing now, because you kind of, we get anything against Chelsea, which now I'm like convinced we're going to. I'm absolutely convinced we're going to get something at Chelsea. Tottenham, I'm not so sure. Forest at home, I want to do that just for you, and then we will lose at Man United. Then it's Brighton. So I don't know. I can just see the season playing out as we suggested last week in complete roller coaster fashion, where at no point are we sort of comfortable. And then the Conference League starts again, and I'm just same as last week, mate. As I've run through it again, I'd forgotten. I'm just stressed about the games that we haven't even played yet.
Yeah, it does. It does make you think. Oh, were we a bit too quick to judge?
We weren't.
No, I don't think we were. But
because this is a surprise. What's happened the last 5 games? Isn't it?
It is a bit of a surprise. But then, should it have been a surprise? Like, you look at it hindsight and go, look what we did for those 2 years. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination saying that it's perfect now and we're back to peak massive West Ham Europa League semi-finalist West Ham United, and everything's brilliant, and we're going to be a Champions League team within 2 years, and it's we're going to start.
Oh, we are 16th, Jonesy. You say that.
Declan Rice might have a reason to stay now, and all that. But it does make you think. Well, after he achieved all that, perhaps he did. I know we kept saying, he's got credit in the bank, but how long do we give him? Now's the time to go. Maybe we should. I mean, it's still pretty early still to say, but maybe we should have put a little bit more trust in him, given what he'd achieved. But it could go. We could be sitting here in 2 weeks' time after getting battered by Chelsea and Spurs, going, he's got to go again.
No, I disagree, because I don't. He just doesn't get battered, does he? Moyes, he just doesn't get.
No,
battered.
He doesn't. Give him that.
Yeah. Contrary to the version of the West Ham a Massive song that Spurs bastardized into West Ham get battered everywhere they go. Unlike Spurs fans to nick a song from somewhere else, isn't it, and try and make it their own.
Yeah.
Any danger of an original one? Any day now, lads? I don't think so. But no, he doesn't get battered against big teams. We haven't really seen that, have we? Under Moyes, there is that sort of resilience against big sides. So I genuinely do think if we lose these next 2 games, that's all right. I still don't think that's sack worthy. I think that little run that we've been on, capped off by that result at Newcastle, I think unbeaten in 3, 2 of those being away games. One of them was an absolute crunch game at home. The game away at Wolves, 1-0, no disgrace in that really. Unlucky not to win at Leeds. I think there's enough there just about where you go. There's still pressure on it, because let's get it straight. We're 16th in the league. Still only a point above the relegation zone. It's basically 2, because our goal difference is much better than Everton's, but 4 goals better. It's the same as Leeds, who are in 17th, who are just 1 point behind us. So, like you say, it's a good run we've been on. 2 of those have been in the cup. So if you still look at the league table, which is the most important metric by which we should be measured this season, it's not, it's still not sweetness and light, as you just mentioned there. I think the chances are, you've seen Everton getting that win against Arsenal. They're going to be sneaking up the table and picking up more points. So there's every chance that after that game away at Tottenham on the 19th of February, that we're on the back of 2 defeats, and Everton have overtaken us points-wise. And Leeds may have done the same. Leeds, to be fair to Leeds, that's unlikely, because they got Man United away and then Man United at home in that double header. But, we still might be, the relegation situation might still be staring us smack bang in the face. And then once again, there's a lot of pressure on that Nottingham Forest home game in the league. But I don't know. I just think you give it, you can't sack him now, really, I don't think. Because there's clearly no. There's clearly, well, what, for the rest of the season, or just until when?
I think so. Just don't see a scenario where they go, now's the time to get rid of him. Here's the perfect replacement. I know we criticised it heavily a few weeks ago, but the perfect replacement was Sean Dyche.
At least until the end of the year, yeah.
At least until the end of the year. And now that's gone, and it looks like he's going to do a good job at Everton. So, I mean, who else is there? You don't really want Bielsa to come in because he's not going to hit the ground running.
And you want to take control of like the under-16s for the season or whatever.
Yeah, so it's like, well, I mean, you're better off just sticking. I'm convinced. Well, we might end up finishing 17th, but I'm convinced we won't go down still. So I think we showed just in the performance against Newcastle that we showed that we're far good. And it's not like we're going into these games and just playing so poorly at the moment. Like it looks like just performance-wise as well. It's not like we're scraping a 1-1 draw at Newcastle. Like we were well worth that draw.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign that things will start to pick up a little bit, and we'll be all right between now and the end of the season.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Right, before we move on, we'll do housekeeping as usual. I just quickly let you know what's going on the show this week. We've got to talk to you about your glasses, Jonesy, as well. Absolute, it's a fashion revelation, but the health benefits you tell me they're giving you as well, I think it's one that we should share with the listeners and file it alongside the stories of your shed building capabilities and our huge argument that we had regarding email inbox organization. We'll react in more detail to the Newcastle draw in the next section. We'll speak to friend of the podcast and big Chelsea fan, Dave Chidgey, Stamford Chidge, as you may know him on Twitter, ahead of that home game against Chelsea on Saturday lunchtime at London Stadium. That'll be later on in the show. And then you'll have some final thoughts from me and Jonesy at the end, as ever. That sound all right to you, James?
Yeah, perfect.
Absolutely. Right. Well, talk to me about those glasses you've got on then. I mean, you seem to have had a new haircut. I quite like your jacket today. All in all, looking pretty on point. New glasses as well. You look like a proper Hackney hipster. You look like the sort of bloke who goes into a Hackney cafe and quite happily on a Sunday morning pays £8.50 for a macchiato double soy coconut macadamia latte or something like that. Is what you look like today.
You've got half of that coffee order right. I'm a big fan of the caramel macchiato from Starbucks. So yeah.
It's not that hipster, that actually, is it? If you go to Starbucks,
no, exactly. Yeah, if anything, it's anti-hipster, isn't it?
Exactly, it's major capitalist. Yeah.
No, these are blue light glasses. These are.
Go on, talk to me.
In the modern era where screens dominate our lives, phones, laptops, TVs, tablets, you name it.
Yeah. I had a look at my screen time this morning. Actually, sorry to interrupt.
It's scary when you look at it.
Yeah, it's not good.
Mine went up like 50%. I got the notification early, and I was like, "Cool, blimey, what was I doing last week?" Clearly,
yeah. What did you average then last week?
I don't know. I didn't look closely at it. I just saw it pop up. Your average screen time was up 50%, and I was like, "Okay, well, we're not going to look into that."
5 hours 41. Mine was last week.
See if I can get it up. 5 hours 5 minutes. So I'm just a little bit short of you, but
it's bad. Yeah,
not good.
Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, so a few months ago, or maybe probably about 6 months ago, I noticed that I was getting really, really tired in the evenings, like unreasonably tired at the end of the day. 7 o'clock, I'll be on the sofa and I'll be dozing off.
Yeah.
Even before we'd had dinner or anything like that. And it got to the point where it was beginning to bug me. I was like, why am I so tired? All I've done is literally sat on my sofa if I'm working from home and worked. I've not gone out, I've not exercised, not done anything. So I tried everything. Obviously, my fitness and health changes are well documented on this podcast already. That didn't seem to help. That didn't seem to help. I started drinking more water, started taking certain vitamins. Nothing's working. So I'm like, there's got to be something. So my last resort was, well, maybe it's because I'm staring at screens all day and my brain's just going, I'm done now. So I invested in a pair of blue light glasses, and I went for stylish option rather than practicality.
I do like them, mate. Yeah. The old see-through frames.
The old see-through frame. Yeah, I saw them. I thought, I'll have a bit of that. So they're not prescription. I mean, I do wear glasses and contacts anyway, but they're not prescription. So they're purely just screens. They're literally just glass with blue light functionality. And within 2 weeks of wearing them, absolute game changer, mate. Absolute game changer. So much so that last night, I stayed up and watched TV on the sofa with Luce until midnight. I didn't even doze off once, and I was like this. And even Lucy's like, I feel like I've got my husband back because he's not falling asleep at 7 o'clock.
Just an absolute transformational effects of the blue light glasses, mate.
Yeah, but then obviously because they're not prescription, I can wear my contacts underneath them, and I do find myself going out still with them on because I quite like the look as well. So
they're
health benefits, but also a bit of a fashion statement from me as well. So yeah, double whammy.
Is it worth noting? Well, I'm assuming you're not getting paid to advertise the blue light glasses.
I'm not. No, you can get them at any good or bad glasses retailers.
Right.
I mean, I think
where'd you get yours online?
Or? The firm I went, I found an advert on Instagram from a company called Bamboo. Right. It comes in a nice bamboo glasses case, and for everyone you buy, they plant a tree. So
I love that. That is hipster. That really is
very
hipster,
isn't it? So I thought I'll have a bit of that. I think they're about 80 quid, and they do the trick. Well,
were they? Oh bloody hell! That is actually more than I was thinking.
Yeah.
I thought if they were like a score, I'd pick some up. But
you can go cheaper elsewhere. But the plant the tree thing was a big selling point for me, obviously.
yeah. They're 20 if you don't plant the James Jones oak somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So absolute well worth every penny so far.
Mate. Yeah, they look decent as well. The only one thing I would say as a drawback is, which probably means they're working, is that all I can see in your eyes now is your screens reflected straight back at me.
Yeah, that is the
point, I suppose. But
it's the only negative, particularly if I'm on a meeting and I'm looking. When you're on a meeting, you look at yourself, don't you? You don't look at anyone else. You always look at yourself. And I'm like, is this what people are seeing? Is this just like big blue squares where my eyes should be?
Exactly, mate. Yeah.
But,
who cares, mate? If all of those health benefits and benefits to your marriage as well, then it sounds well worth the investment. Do you know where your tree is planted?
No, I don't. Actually, it's worth pointing out that this is my second pair because the first pair Harrison broke.
All right.
He knocked them off the table without me realising, and then stepped on them.
Legend. So cheers. Yeah.
Got another pair. So I've planted 2 trees somewhere in the world.
Excellent.
So
yeah. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Should talk about football then. We started with football, which is uncharacteristic of the We Are West Ham podcast.
Yeah. Is everything right with you first? How's your week?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I've had a spectacular week. Genuinely one of the best weeks ever. Absolutely phenomenal. I told you I scored my first goal for Purley Saint-Germain last Sunday. This week, got an assist again, drew 2-2, and then won on penalties to go through to the 5th round of the Surrey Cup, which is actually the quarterfinals. Absolutely spectacular win. The drama of penalties. The best thing about the penalty shootout as well, I bravely put my hand up when the manager said, right, who fancies one? Put my hand up. We sorted the order out and I was number 5. We scored our first 4. They missed 2 and I didn't have to take one. So nice. It was, that was absolutely spectacular. Decent point for West Ham. Obviously, I don't know if I think most of the content I'd covered last week, but all in all, Jonesy, things going pretty well indeed at Shea Will Pugh. Nothing else to report really, mate. Just one of those times where we're all quick sometimes, aren't we? To someone says how you going to sort of list a few of the things that are annoying you. I've had a week where there hasn't really been many of those. I did go to the cinema on Saturday night to watch The Whale. Brendan Fraser.
Was it 2006 all of a sudden? Did they still have cinemas?
Yeah, they do. Honestly, big cinema guy these days. I've been like 5 times in the last month.
I can imagine it's really expensive, though, isn't it?
42 quid for the Everyman at King's Cross for 2 tickets.
Oh, it's because you're going to an Everyman, though, isn't it?
But I mean, they are comfortable.
£42.
Sofas are quality, although they're a little bit too comfortable. As I fell asleep for approx 30 mins in the middle of the film, woke up, caught like the last half an hour, and then wasn't overly sure whether I'd enjoyed the film or not, because I think I'd missed a fairly important part of the storyline in the middle.
You know what to do. Blue light glasses will stop you from doing that again, mate.
Yes, I mean, it may have been the 4 pints I had before the 6:30 p.m. showing.
Yeah, that would be it then.
That may have been it.
Blue light glasses ain't going to stop you from falling asleep too many beers.
Exactly, mate. No, so no, all in all, yeah, pretty good week. All good stuff, all positive vibes. Listen, thanks very much, mate. Right, let's actually talk about football a little bit more. Don't forget, you can follow the We Are West Ham podcast on Twitter at @WeAre_West Ham. I'm at William Pugh _ Jones. He's at by James Jones. You can get us on Instagram and Facebook as well. Search We Are West Ham podcast. But the most noteworthy place to get us, of course, most of you listen to the podcast, but if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel already, get on over there to do that. Search We Are West Ham podcast on YouTube. Don't forget, we struck up a partnership with the guys at West Ham Network as well, so you can go over and watch some of their stuff. A little bit of cross-pollination. Russ came on last week. Jonesy and I'll be featuring on their channel at some point this week as well. So that's West Ham Network. You can get them over there. And don't forget, if you want to, you can buy us a pint at buymeacoffee.com/wearewestham. And I just want to say a quick thank you as well. Jonesy, I think I sent it to you. Forgive me if I didn't. We got quite a nice message. Stefsky bought us a pint this week and said, listen to you guys throughout the highs and the lows. Thanks very much for a great show. That message put a smile on my face this week. So thanks very much to Stefsky. That's buymeacoffee.com/wearewestham if you want to buy me and James a pint. We do actually need to meet up, Jonesy. Now dry January's out the way. And have a beer together at some point to spend some of this beer money that we've got in from our superb listeners, but we'll sort that out a little bit later on. First of all, reaction to Newcastle 1, West Ham United 1 on Saturday night at St James's Park. Next. So, Newcastle 1, West Ham 1. Jonesy, you mentioned it there. The early stages, particularly Joe Willock's goal, gets disallowed, and then you think, okay, we've got away with one. We've ridden our luck there already, and then, like you said, they hadn't even stopped showing the replay by the time Callum Wilson actually made it 1-0 to Newcastle on 3 minutes. And it's head in hands time then, and you think, here we go, what's going on? But a Sterling comeback. Lucas Paqueta gets a little, I would say, fortuitous goal. Obviously come from a set piece. He stabs it in at the back post, but we did have other chances. We did play reasonably well. And as you mentioned, we were thoroughly good for that 1-1 we've got at high-flying Newcastle.
Yeah, it was well-deserved. It did feel like when that mini 3-minute, God, don't even know what to call it right at the beginning. It felt like Willock scores, and then they realise, oh no, Willock can't score. It has to be Callum Wilson, because Callum Wilson always scores against West Ham.
Yeah,
so we'll quickly try and change that before anyone notices. So we'll keep playing the replay. And then, so yeah, that was. I thought, it's going to be about 7-0. It's going to be brilliant. But yeah, I thought every single player on that pitch played well, better than they have done all season. I thought Declan Rice was superb in midfield. If it was a game where we needed him to step up a little bit and sort of be the player that we know he can be, because he hasn't really been that. He's been one of our better players this season. It hasn't really been the Declan Rice that we've grown to expect this season, but nor has any other player really.
No.
There was a game where we needed him to really step up, particularly in that midfield where they were missing Guimaraes and a little bit weaker than they would normally be. Then it was that game, and he did that. I thought Aguerd at the back was just outstanding. That block in the second half,
huge tackle, wasn't it?
I did get worried when he sort of stayed on the ground a little bit. I thought he's done his injury again, done his knee. But it was just a class bit of defending. I thought Emerson was good. He looked all right.
Yep.
So it was a good performance all round. It was a point well deserved. In a game that could have gone terribly wrong given what happened right at the beginning. But something's clicked, as we said at the beginning. Something seems to have clicked. They seem to be fighting for the team again. They seem to be fighting for Moyes again. I don't know what he's done. I know he's gone 5 at the back for the last 3 or 4 games. I can't imagine it's just that purely down to that, because he did that a lot last season as well. So it's not like it's a brand new tactic.
Owen looks like he's got a bit of zip back in him, doesn't he?
Bowen's, yeah, exactly. I did get a little bit annoyed that he took Paqueta off when he did and replaced him with Souček. I know he was looking to shore it up a little bit and probably protect the point.
Yeah, but I thought Thomas Souček's like his son or whatever.
Yeah. But I thought Paqueta was playing really well alongside Declan Rice. He got his goal. Yeah, it was a little bit lucky, but I thought he was playing really well. I thought he was offering something midfield that we don't normally have, and he was playing in his favoured 8 role as well, which we've been talking about for months. It just looked like that midfield duo of Rice and Paqueta was really working nicely. And then with 20 minutes to go, he brings Souček on, and in that last 20 minutes, the only team that really did look like scoring was Newcastle.
Yeah,
we were clearly playing for the counter. But yeah, it was a good performance all round. I'm very, very happy with it. Also nice to see Ings back, but a bit of a surprise, given we were told that he was like going to be out forever. And suddenly he's on the bench after just missing an FA Cup game against Derby. So that was good. But then when he does come on, it's a bit too late, because by then we're protecting a point and we're not interested in countering after that. It's just
true.
He's just got to run about for 15 minutes, and it's almost like just an extended warm up for him.
Yeah, we did. They did get behind us a couple of times, which was a little bit concerning from my point of view. But Aguerd, I mean, at Derby the other night, I sort of sat a bit closer to the ground than I normally would be, and he's just such an graceful footballer, isn't he? And I was you sort of still have those concerns about whether his defensive capabilities match up to those, particularly once we lost Craig Dawson. Absolutely sensational to see him score against Liverpool, for Wolves.
It broke my heart.
What a man, though. I was sort of like in equal parts happy and like, what the hell? Because I almost don't want him to do well.
It's like seeing your ex get off with someone else, get married to someone else. It was like, I'm happy for him, but I really wish it was still for us.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I sort of want him. I want West Ham to be his career peak. Like, I just want him to sort of go back to the old underwhelming Craig Dawson at Wolves. So, West Ham fans go, it was almost like the club. It was such a match made in heaven, Craig Dawson and West Ham. He was never the same before or after. I don't really want him to carry on the old Bell and Dawson form at Wolves. But, brilliant to see him score against Liverpool. And I was worried, though, once you lose him, because he gives you that grit and he's like a proper defender, isn't he? Whether Aguerd was going to be able to live up to the same sort of standards. But like you say, that block, I mean, we've had defenders in the past. You can't see, he had to put a shift in to even get in a position to make the block in the first place, let alone time it as well as he did. And you can't envisage Issa Diop doing that, can you? Like, once he was past him, that had been it for Diop in the past. A good performance all in all. A little bit concerned when they did get in behind as much as they did, but I think Paqueta had that chance, didn't he, first half, where he dragged one wide. It was spinning about a little bit. Some question marks around Fabianski again. I don't know if they're just going to remain until Areola is number one. Again, the Willock goal is sort of at his near post, goes across him. I don't know if Areola, I know obviously, but Fabianski didn't know that the ball had gone out at that stage. And then even the second one, right, Wilson's through on goal. We'll get onto that second one in a minute. But it's almost like the same content every week, isn't it, with Fabianski? But because I don't really think there's loads wrong with him. But just because of that, do you think it would be an upgrade to put Big Alphonse in?
I mean, I've said before that I think it's just a bit weird that we loaned Areola and then bought him permanently, and he's still our backup. It's like, clearly, if you bought him permanently, then especially if you're going to then let Randolph leave, why isn't Areola now our first choice keeper if you decide to sign him?
Right.
And I wouldn't be against making that change now. But if we're talking about just off the back of the Newcastle game, I don't know why there is talk, if there is any at all, of him, making any mistakes or, having a bad game. I thought he pulled off a couple of good saves. Don't you can blame him for either of
It's
the
not
goals.
so much bad game. I just think people are just keen to make the change now. They've got it in their heads, fans, that a change should be made. Therefore, they're like, "Oh, should he have done better there?" Or "Oh," and by people, I mean me. But I don't want the change to be made. I think I'm just a bit like angsty about. I don't necessarily want it to be made. I can understand. I think Fabianski's been so good for us for so long that I don't feel the need. I think it's just change for change's sake that fans are calling for. But now I know about it and I'm aware of it. I'm a little bit like hyper aware now. And every time a goal goes in against us, I'm like, are the anti-Fabianski brigade going to be out again, or brigade, however you say that word?
No, I don't think. I think, like I said, if he makes a change, then I wouldn't be against it. I think Areola's far more than capable of being our number one. But then Fabianski hasn't done a great deal wrong to warrant being dropped, if you know what I mean. Like, I haven't. If you're talking about the Newcastle game, there was nothing in that game where I've gone, "Coy should do better there." Like, he's conceded on a 1-on-1. Like, how many times do we see goalkeepers concede 1-on-1s? Like, it happens.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
he's lost out to. It's you know, you got to guess which way the striker's going to go.
Yeah.
The Willock goal didn't stand. I mean, it's close to him, but it's gone across goal. It's gone across him. I'd be asking questions if Willock gone near post and scored. And he pulled off a good save in the second half when it was a point blank header from, I think it was Wilson again. Saved that. I don't think there's anything wrong with him.
No, I'm sort of.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is down to his age. I think people are looking at his age and going, he's been around for a while. He's now retired from international football. This is probably his last Premier League club.
Yeah,
we've loaned a goalkeeper from PSG and then a year later signed him permanently. So we know he's waiting in the wings and we know he's good enough to be our number one.
Yeah,
he's almost too good to be a backup.
Yeah,
why aren't we making the change? Maybe that's in it. I mean, maybe that's what's in people's minds.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Lucas Paqueta loses the ball in the middle for Callum Wilson's goal. It was, don't know, annoyed with him for that because it was pretty.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like as good as he's been. That is quite important, isn't it? And if it was Said Benrahma who'd done that, I for one would be ripping him to shreds.
Yeah, I mean, he's made a mistake. He's given the ball away in a dangerous area, but the entire team were asleep at that point. The fact that even Wilson's been able to make that run and stay on side. Defensively, if you look across the line, I don't know who's playing him on. I think it might be Kehrer that's playing him on, and he shouldn't be playing him on. The build up to the first goal that got ruled out, it was complete shambles. What was going on? Like they were walking through us. So that first 3 minutes, it was quite clear that we just hadn't woken up. We hadn't arrived. It took a goal to actually stand for them to go, oh, blimey, we're already 1-0 down. It could be 2. So yeah, like you could blame him for the goal, but I think just the entire team defensively in the midfield just hadn't kicked off themselves.
Switched on. Yeah, fine, fair enough. All in all, though, mate, decent point. Chelsea at home on Saturday. We'll speak to Chidgey from the Chelsea Fancast next up about that game. Still looking a bit precarious in the league, but that is, by all accounts, and especially what's gone on this season, Newcastle on a massive high at the moment after reaching the League Cup final. An excellent point at St James's Park.